Hello everybody, CritCrab here with another story, this one about a grown man specifically singling out and targeting a kid's character just because he wanted to win D&D. Roll post. Okay, so for the past 5 years, I've been running a 5e campaign for my wife, 2 kids, who are 10 and 14, and a family friend who never misses a session. On occasion, we invite other people to join us, including my college-age nephew. As the sole DM, I do my best to cater to my players' style and to their limited knowledge of TRPGs. We usually all have fun, except sometimes when my nephew shows up to derail the game. He is your classic murder hobo gamer and always makes terrible decisions for the group. To be fair, my nephew isn't all bad. He has a good sense of humor and is probably the best role player among us, with silly voices that make everyone laugh. But when it comes to important decisions, things go downhill fast. The first time we ever played together, he insisted on drinking all of the potions he found in a dungeon, even after I suggested investigating what they do first. I should have taught him a lesson then and there and have his character die horribly after downing a vial of acid, but I digress. Coming from a video game background, he is a huge Skyrim, Witcher, and Dragon Age fan. I recognized the problem early on. He plays D&D like it's a video game, assuming things can always be undone if he does something stupid. Anyway, since my kids usually enjoy playing with him, I did my best to modify my games to suit his crazy antics. Since he likes to attack everything in sight, I suggested that he play a barbarian, but then he would go starting fights against enemies way too powerful for the group. Finally, I had the rather bright, but actually really dumb idea of letting him roleplay the monsters. Since he always played chaotic evil, I figured what could go wrong. In my games, my players hop from world to world. So far, they've visited Hogwarts, a very Disney-inspired fairy tale kingdom, and Middle-earth. In our Middle-earth campaign, my nephew got to roleplay the orcs, and things worked out pretty well. Pretty well, that is, until the final battle. The epic final battle took place on the Pelennor Fields outside of Minas Tirith, the largest city in Middle-earth. It was a huge Warhammer-style battle with dozens of orc units, a blue dragon-riding Death Knight, which I used for the Witch King, and lastly, a Balor that I used for the Balrog. The game was running great and I was very happy with the way things were turning out. The players, with the help of some Middle-earth heroes, managed to slay the Witch King and most of his orc army. But then the Balor showed up, and that's when things turned to shit. My nephew declared, "Alright, who's a player? I want to kill him." He didn't want to just kill a random NPC, no sir. The game would only be fun for him if he killed one of our long-standing player characters. Even though this was kind of moving into metagame territory, I let it slide and allowed him to concentrate all of his attacks on just my 14-year-old's 10th level wizard. Even when the other PCs rushed to her defense, he ignored them and focused everything on her. Needless to say, her wizard dropped to 0 HP. I assumed that at this point he would leave her alone and attack someone else, and that I would have the opportunity to have her character get healed or at least make a death save. Nope. My nephew was determined to kill her off for good, not even giving her the chance of making any death saving throws. It's at this point that I intervened as the DM, telling him that it would be unrealistic for his Balor to continue stabbing what appeared to be a corpse while ignoring all the hits he was taking from every other creature. It made no sense, I told him, at which point he got very upset and threatened to storm out of the house if he didn't get his way. I didn't want to ruin the evening for him, but I also didn't want to allow this metagame murder to take place. Finally, when my 14-year-old realized she was done for, she started crying, and only then did my nephew let up. By then, it was too late. She had one saving throw left and didn't make it. What would have ended up a fantastic finale to our year-long Middle-earth campaign ended on a very sour note. I know there's always a chance that a PC will die, especially in the final battle, but having my nephew single out her character in such a way was very upsetting for me and for her. And since then, my players and I have decided never to invite him to D&D again. End post. Well, honestly, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I blame the DM a lot more than I blame the nephew. On one hand, the nephew was acting like a child the whole time, and for that there is no excuse. But it was also stated early on in the post that he likely didn't really know how TRPGs worked, thinking, or at least acting, like anything that doesn't go their way can be undone. But the DM, knowing how his nephew acted, still invited him not only as a player, but as the final boss. If the nephew doesn't fully understand TRPGs and gets put in a position where he is directly opposing the players, expect him to play as tactically as possible, and that usually means removing the highest damage dealers first. I don't know. It's just odd thinking that the DM knew how he played, was given warning that he was going to target a player, was in the process of singling out and attacking her character while bullying her to tears, kills her, and then all of a sudden the DM is surprised that it happened. But this isn't a total loss, I suppose. You know what happened to the last powerful wizard that died in Middle-earth? He got revived and changed color. Now, before you tell me that it was because he was a Maiar and Saruman failed and all that other stuff, just wait. It's better than just letting her stay dead over something stupid that should have never happened. Speaking of never happened, I don't think these players would object to a retcon. Just restart the session as if it never happened. I mean, it's Middle-earth, and they're kids. This is the perfect environment to favor some sort of fairy tale happy ending. Now, I'm not downplaying the seriousness of this situation. It says in the title of the post that this was her character for 5 years. Considering that she's 14 years old, that's over a third of her life. I mean, I cry when the dog dies in a movie, and the dog was a part of my life for like an hour. I couldn't imagine something as emotionally attached as a D&D character getting smitten down for metagamey reasons in the presence of the Dungeon Master and Father going over well for me at all. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this one. Till next time.